Coming down, I'm going to stop at about maybe 150 mil to go, and then go around again. Make sure these are all tucked right up underneath there. Okay, this one's, gotta get it over that mattress. That's a bit tight. Very much easier with two hands. And you notice that this is pushed back just a little bit, so just going to give that a bit of a nudge. We don't want anything hanging out. I'm going to have to come back to this side again, I'm pretty sure. It tends to want to come out all the time. So we'll go down now to about 50 mil. So that should, if that bed is in place, that top will just fit over the front. So we'll just go around and about 50 mil down, just check there's nothing hanging out. Okay, that bed wasn't quite in it, it was just got a little bit out of square. So that looks pretty good. Put it all in. And what'll happen, the last little bit probably won't go down by itself. It looks like it's caught on this bed here, just a little bit. Okay, because of the mattresses, the last bit, you'll have to push that down by hand, so a little bit of leverage on it. With these, must be in that position, clamp it down, hook it over, and then pull the clamp up from there. That's pretty straight. And you can actually lock that one if you want to. Again, with this, that's purely just the mattress. So, pull that down. Down. I think we weren't quite right on this corner. There we go. So I usually like to put these in order. This one. Walk around. So I find I probably walk around the van about 6 times from the start of the pack up to the finish of the pack up. Just checking. And this is the point in time, if you got your fly-ins up, that you'd be rolling them up, because you're going to need to be able to see where you're going. So that's about it for the pack up. One thing I forgot to mention, door must be shut when you wind this down, because the lid is holding the door shut, stopping it being opened. If you want to open the door, just a matter of undo those, wind it up, and you need about 20 mil, 30 mil, and then you can get in, crawl in under the bed to that. This just falls away. Pretty straightforward. That there is a power outlet, so your power in has to be a 25 amp hour plug, which is the one with the big earth cable. There's a cable in there for that. That's that one, so that's your power in. The other one's the power out. If you've got a kitchen or something like that, you want to put it from outside. With your water, simply a matter of your click connector. There's a hose there with a blank end, just click straight on that. And with the Sullage, it's just a matter, it's got a compression union that you just push it into there and just pull it out. There's no pressure in that at all, so you won't have any trouble getting that in or out. With the toilet, so with this ring, I usually put that on my finger, so I remember to put it back on when we're finished through the whole process, because if this opens, while you're driving along, you could be in all sorts of trouble. So with this one, there's a little bolt in here. It's simply a matter of undoing that bolt, and and that goes through to that block of wood. I usually just put that in there, put the block of wood in there, and your toilet will come out like that. So that's the unit there. We usually empty it out and clean it out and refill it ready for the next time, so that it's always got fresh material in it all the time. So with that, the bottom will separate from the top with that little lever. Simply a matter of flicking that lever across and the top comes off separate. So there's your top half, there's your bottom half. That's obviously your open to the silage there when you're going and you're using it. You want to keep that shut at this point in time. So you're going to cart it off to a waste dump point, and it's a matter of folding this out. Take the cap off. I usually like to lay this flat when I do that. Take the cap off, and then you can pretty much direct that into your silage point. There's a little button there which will release the air. I'm usually holding onto the handle at the bottom and press the button at the same time, and it should evacuate pretty quickly. I will usually fill it either through the tube or through there a couple of times to flush it out each time, and then when it's finished, put that back in, open that up and put in, depending on how much you want to leave in there, probably about 100 ml of water and probably about 20 or 30 ml of the base chemical, and then it's just a matter of putting it back together. So usually if we're at a campground, I'll just leave the top half back in the cupboard, and I'll just walk off. With this one, there's a little carry handle, pretty light and easy to carry off. This is the smaller version, because we were looking at conservative weight with these. If you were to use the bigger version, what I've done with the cupboard, the bottom part, if you were to modify that, you could fit the bigger version, which gives you twice the storage capacity. So pretty easy to modify that. So I'll put him back together. At the very front here, there's a little latch there, little groove, and on the front of the toilet, that little groove there. So when this goes back in, that must lock into that little latch there. If it doesn't, what will happen is that as you're driving, it will go through the door there and end up on the floor. I doubt it would ever leak, but it's just a bit annoying for that to happen. We usually put a chair or something on the floor in there to stop these things flying about while we're driving. So I'll put this back in, and that should be about it. So when you're pushing him in, just make sure that he's reasonably central, and you'll feel him, making sure you're holding to the bottom. You'll feel him lock onto that thing at the front there. You've got to make sure you don't do what I just did. If you push this too hard, it will open the door at the front, which is why we stack our chairs there. So you should be able to hold this and push that, and it will just stop and lock onto that point there. So with this, that just goes over the top of the handle, and then just does back up again onto that bolt. Needs to be reasonably firm on there to hold him in position, so but not overly tight. So that's that. We do have a little vent in here. We're a bit worried about the toilet could possibly smell. If you're driving down dusty roads, with that vent it will fill this up with dust. So bit of sticky plastic on this if you know you're going to be driving on a dusty road, and also the seals on this door aren't that great for dusty roads, so just be aware that you may get a bit of dust in this compartment, but it shouldn't come through to the cabin in the front. And the spare wheel used to be where that toilet is. It's now underneath. And so far we've never had a problem with clearance at all, because in terms of clearance it's actually pretty close to the same height as the axle sort of rope there. So the way that this works is that it's actually bolted on. There's 2 nuts holding it up, and if you undo those nuts, the rope that is there will actually hold that tyre there for you. So you undo the nuts, and then it's a matter of undoing the rope here, and you can lower that down so it's not just going to drop, and vice versa. When you go to put it in, it's just a matter of because this little block here, you can turn it sideways and it'll fit through the middle of the tyre, through the rim. Just a matter of put your tyre down, hook the block through, and you can pull it up by hand, so you don't have to manually lift this tyre into position. Just making sure that you do these nuts up reasonably tightly, because it is just hanging in there. So that's the way that works. If you've got any questions on that, you can always ask me. So while we're down here, you'll see a bit of piping. That's actually the gas pipe, I'm pretty sure. And we got some other cables there. That looks like, yeah, that's the gas pipe going up to the bottom of the fridge. The trailer brakes are wired into pin 5. I can't tell you which one's pin 5, but that's on the back. It's the blue wire. So I've wired the car so that the blue pin, number 5, it's hot wired, so there's power to that all the time. The power on this goes through that blue cable and goes to, under the right hand side here, goes to this control unit. So with the control unit, with this one, that's your blue wire is your power in, and power to the brakes, so electric brakes, you see over there on the wheel, pretty effective actually. And you can increase or decrease your brakes depending on how you feel it's going. I used to run them pretty low. You can see it's down pretty low on that one. So the way that this is activated is that is also connected to the brake light. So when you put your foot on the brake light activates the brakes on here, but they are powered through the blue wall, so a blue wire. So it uses the brake lights to activate the switch, but uses the direct power. It doesn't use the power from the brake lights. It's a separate power source because they draw a lot more. They draw probably about 10 times the amount of light on power on those. You can probably see brakes over there. The L on that shows you the brakes are actually pretty new. Tyres, pretty close there with the truck tyres, so, and they're also pretty new as well. They're pretty good big. There's your water tank there, and your water tank is filled up here. So I find the easiest way to do that is to, if you've got a hose with no end, stick that in there. Bad design, because when you get down the bottom here, there's actually a big kink in that hose there. I've tried many times to try and get that kink out to make it flow. It just doesn't want to go away. So if you stick the hose in till it goes past the kink, it's going to be much easier to fill your water tank up there. I have drained that water tank out. It's really difficult to do that, but it should be in good nick because we keep it empty most of the time. With regards to the wiring, I've got these little LED running lights all the way down the side, and I expected that the chassis on the trailer would have been negative earth, but when the lights didn't work I thought that was a bit strange, so I actually had to wire in an earth. Doing one there, I had to wire an earth to the chassis because the chassis was not earth for some reason. So if you ever have a problem with the lights not working, it could be that earth connection. Likewise with the lights up on the back here, I actually had to run an earth wire down from those lights down to the chassis. You shouldn't have any problems with those. But we've got an earth wire on both sides on the running lights. If you're putting a cover over the top of it, just be aware that this is brand new, by the way. If it flaps on this, it will dull the perspex on this, so you either need to have your cover nice and tight, or you need to put something soft over the top of this, a towel or something like that. Otherwise that will go dull from the wear. One last thing I forgot to mention, with our front fly-in cover, this is one job that I haven't yet got onto, but as you're driving along, the wind tends to get under this cover and flip it up and flip it open. So these are just Velcro to the fly-ins in there. It tends to want to blow them up. So what I was going to do was just make a couple of little straps, and most of the modern vans have these. Just screw straight into the aluminium, strap over the top here, clip it onto the bottom there. A couple of those to stop it blowing up. What I was using before was just a bunch of cord to hold it down, and it kind of worked most of the time. It would be better with something a bit more comfortable. That's probably the only thing you'd want to be doing before you start driving around with the fly-in. But if you've got any questions, you can always ask me about that. In this bag there is all the annex stuff. There is a couple of extra fly-ins. So these ones here are just a roof only, so when it's out it's only the roof that goes across the top. The ones that are on at the moment have a side as well, like a privacy screen, so you might want to swap them out for these ones because they're a lot smaller and a lot lighter. So there's I think 2 of those. It might only be 1.5. I think we might have chopped one down. That looks like a bit of a half. They are the walls and roof for the annex. The way the annex works is it gets threaded onto the sail track at the top. There's one on the end here and one at the front. So the walls will go into that one and your roof will go into this. What I have done, mainly because they were broken, there were little clips. You'll see the holes, there were clips there, in the middle and on the end, and you can buy them, they're not that expensive, that the poles actually lock into, and I think at some point in time they've had a bit of a gale and they've actually broken those clips. So I took the clips off, mainly because we never used the annex. But those clips are still common. They're still the same clips that are used now. To use the annex, you'll need to use that. In the pole bag, you'll find there's actually 4 extra poles because I've replaced the aluminium ones in there. The ones that came off there are in that bag, so you can have 4 extra poles. And there's also a couple of short poles from previous tests that are in there as well. So if you set the annex up and you've got some poles over, that's fine.